Hey everyone, welcome to the video. I'm Amy and I post 3 videos a week. I post a lot of 3-day foundation wear tests, full face first impressions, full face one brand, eyeshadow palette discussions, things like that. If that sounds like your kind of content, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on mine. In today's video, we are talking all about the Pat McGrath Huetopian Dream Mothership 9. Yes, and also the Pat McGrath Intensifeyes Artistry Wand. Yes, that's what it's called. So, we are going to deep dive. I'm going to keep this intro as short and sweet as I possibly can because we have a lot of things to talk about. I will have timestamps down below. If you are interested in a specific topic, go down there, see if I hit it, click that button, it'll take you right to that area. Click the link of the number and it'll take you right to that area. If you didn't know, that's how timestamps work. But let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, guys, so first I'm going to put up some beauty shots that I took of this stuff before I started swatching and digging into it because it is just beautiful, and if you are here, then you probably think it is beautiful too. So while I talk a little bit about it, I'll show you some beautiful pictures so you can just look at it. The palette itself is $125. The artistry wand itself is $32. I did pick up the set. It is currently at this time sold out, but the set is $132. I saved like $25. I personally was curious about the palette itself, but also if the new artistry wand was going to be like a must-have in a collection. Like, even if you didn't want this palette, would you find a benefit from this wand? I wanted to try that out, so we're going to do that in this video, so that's why I picked it up. When this first was teased, I was really excited because I wanted cotton candy colors. I wanted some new freshness. I, like most people, when they saw the release of the actual palette, was a little bit disappointed because it still had those very bronzy wearable shades. As an actual consumer and user of makeup, you know, those shades are beautiful, perfect, wonderful. I'm going to use them. So it's not as disappointing as the internet may have made it seem. But I kept seeing swatches and swatches of those shades at the top. You know what we are here for, those 2 shades. And I just kept seeing them and was like, I can live without it. And then I'd see it and I'd be like, I can't live without it. And then I would not see it and I'd be like, oh, I can live without it. And then I would see it and I was like, I cannot live without it. And I wasn't going to pick it up. I really, truly wasn't. But then the more I saw it, and when I saw Kinky Sweat, when Alicia posted on her Instagram her little visual of her doing it, I was like, okay, fine, sold. Sold. I'm going to get it now. If I was going to get it anyway, like, I might as well go ahead and get it when it's relevant so I can make a video about it. So that is why I picked it up. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up because this video includes me walking through how I created this look, showing you a second and a third look, a picture or a little clip of them. I'm not going to show you how I created the look. I will have those in a reel on my Instagram, so click the link below if you want to check that out. And then I'm going to swatch comparison it to all the other Pat things in my collection to see if you are a Pat person and you have a lot of Pat McGrath stuff. Do you need this one? Okay, so now let's actually dig into it. I am so excited. I have already opened these up and I have actually already created looks 2 and 3 this morning. But what? I will have timestamps below so that this all makes sense. I want to create for this look a look that is like a negative space moment, and we'll use that like ridiculous, the ones up here that have been causing a lot of ruckus out on the internets. So I'm actually going to zoom you in even more, I think. Holy moly, while I pull out my eyelashes. So I'm taking this KJH number 21, this really tiny little blending brush, and it does have like green staining on it, but there is no more green pigment on it, just FYI. And I'm gonna lightly tap into this mauve tone. I'm kind of thinking like Ariana Grande, what's that called? And Lady Gaga's Rain on Me moment, but Huetopian Dream. Listen. I don't know why I try to do these looks. I don't know why. But I do it for you guys. Okay. And I guess I could talk about the palette. I think that this mauve color is a lot more pink than how it looks in the pan. Like, it has more of a pink vibe than like on my eye than it does in the pan. So there's that. There's my 2 cents on that. I'm gonna take the like hot pink kind of color, the corally color that's in here, and just add some of that to this. Just kind of playing around, having a good time, okay? We're gonna put a little bit of that kind of in this middle section, and we'll add the darker color to the outer. Just kind of in here, leaving still like a blank area. I didn't add anything else to this. I'm just going back in and kind of making sure that that negative space is about the same. I'm going to go into the deepest shade. Should I keep this like double negative space moment? Let's do it. Let's keep it. Okay. And I'm going to kind of, I think, round this out to match the shape there. Now, I feel like this is a good shape to start with. We'll probably have to reinforce it after I put glitter shimmers on it, but I want to dig into the shimmers, and I think I just want to use this one. Maybe that one on the inner corner, but like this one, like all in this negative area. I'm going to take the Intensifeyes Artistry Wand, and I'm going to click it up a little, and then take on the brush. It's like a sticky cooling sensation. It's a very thin feeling thing, especially when you do it like this with the brush. But it's like hard to tell where it is, if that makes sense. So you've got to be mindful of where you're putting it. I will just apply it directly in a second. I just want to make sure I'm getting like as close to those little edges as possible. I'm going to take this same brush that I just used into the like ultraviolet shade. Now you can see, well, I don't know if you can tell, but it's not picking, it's making like, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's like a sparse kind of sprinkled effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger, which finger? Let's take my ring finger, and really pick up a lot of that. And I'm going to press. Look at that. Lord Pat. That's unreal. And it's blank underneath. Well, I mean, I have a little bit of concealer in this artistry wand, but I don't have like a purple color underneath. That's just so pretty. Gonna take, where did I set my brush? I'm gonna take the little tiny brush again into the pink and just kind of clean up the edges. Should I don't know, should I leave that like that? Should I fill it in? Now, I already did the swatches for this, like, for like a flat lay, like swatches for Instagram. And I'm telling you that this color, it didn't really impress me with swatches, honestly. But on the eyes, it looks so beautiful. Okay, I think I need to fill this in because now it feels like that's where I'm supposed to focus because it's like the lightest area on my face. So I think I'm going to fill it in with the darkest color and make it more like a gradient instead of a hollow moment. So I'm going to take the KGH number 12. Like sure. And then I'm actually going to just clean that brush off. Hey sister, so sister. KGH number 13 to kind of blend. I've kind of made this a mess. Colors still beautiful. I just went outside my eye like way too much for me. So we're just going to keep going. I'm going to take the Skin Show shade on this just fluffy brush. Okay, I want to take the other shade and put it into the inner corner and maybe a little bit down here. So I'm going to use this brush again since we're going to a very particular spot. This is a very intense eye look. Very intense. Okay. Give me a minute. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna do liner, if I'm gonna have to put lashes on, like this is a look. Okay, so give me a second to deal with this, and I'll be right back. So I'm back, and let me zoom out. Let's talk about this. Well, wait, let me zoom in. Let's talk about it first. Holy moly. Okay. This. Ooh. Okay, let's zoom out now. This look is a lot. It is not exactly what I imagined, what I planned, what I tried to do the first time, what I was trying to do the second time. We ended up in a whole different place. But I do love the shadows. I think they look beautiful. The look is maybe a little bit much for me. Usually when I go like over the top with colors, it's more so like graphic, and somehow I think that makes it, maybe because it's less smoky. This is just a lot, I keep looking in the monitor. This is a lot smokier than I usually go, so it is a little much for me, but I do think after I put the rest of the makeup on, the look does look a lot better. There is still kind of a weird harshness to the deeper shade on the outside, and I think that's because of the way that I applied it. I applied it in a very harsh, strategic, graphic manner at first, and then I tried to blend it afterwards. I would say, based on the other two looks that I've done today, and going in, if you know you're going to be blending, you're going in with a little bit lighter of a hand, it's a little bit different. I wouldn't say that it was, that this error is really the shadow's fault. It's because I went into it with one plan and then changed my mind after the fact, which, if you like to just play around with makeup and that happens with you a lot, you might find that as an error, an issue. Warning, I love Pat McGrath shadows. I think it is just as beautiful as any of her other palettes. Okay. For me, these are totally worth it. Out of every high-end eyeshadow I've ever tried, her formula is the only one that I feel like is actually worth a high-end price. Pat has a few different formulas. She has her matte formula. She has like a cream to matte formula she started doing. She has her Skin Show formula, which is a very, very, very sheer, thin metallic, and that's what she expects you to use on your brow bone as a highlight. She puts one of those in almost every one of her palettes. And then she has these like creamy molten metallics that are very delicious feeling, and they look delicious on the eyes, but they don't have a lot of sparkle. And then she has one that's like that, but it has sparkle. And then she has what people consider to be her special shades. When people are talking about her special shades, they're talking about the Blitz Astral formula, and that's not my favorite formula. I think this is a beautiful palette. I think it is worth the money. I think it stands out in her collection, even though originally looking at next to other palettes just in picture form, it definitely felt like a sister. Like it felt like it belonged with the group. It didn't feel like a brand new thing. Just talking about this palette as a palette alone, with the knowledge of Pat McGrath's formulas, but not comparing it to the other ones. Like, not saying you have all of her palettes, do you need this? But if you have none of her palettes, or if you have tried her formula before, this is like her formula. I'm not disappointed by any of these shades. I think I've dipped into, yes, I've used every single one on my eyes except for one. There's one I haven't used on my eyes, and it is the bronzy one, which obviously I'm going to love that for like an everyday one. And look at that. Look at that. The downfall for me with this palette is that there are 3 of that baked astral formula. Yes, I think it's beautiful. The colors, the shades themselves are beautiful shades, but this, I feel like I would have loved it so much more if it were one of her like creamy metallic formulas. It's a beautiful formula, but these ones are kind of a baked, flaky formula. So, I mean, the color of my eye right here is this color right here. Do you see that? So, I mean, you've got to set it up to hit it out of the park. It doesn't just hit it out of the park for me. I mean, maybe if you had like a periwinkle color and you could tap it over, but it just is not, it's not going to do it on its own. And that's why I think it's amazing that she came out with this. I think this is going to be a game changer for me personally with those shades, because I don't really like them. They're kind of a flaky, I mean, okay, no, I like them, but they're not my bread and butter. Like, I want the creamy metallic formulas. If they have glitter in them, great, but I want that creamy metallic, that moist, that hydrated eyeshadow feeling, whereas these are a dry, baked, flaky, crumbly kind of formula. And here is the one that I have on my inner corner, which on my inner corner, it looks kind of like gold because I guess my skin is underneath it. But in here, it's like a purple green flip. I don't know if you can even see that. And then this one does have a little bit more of a brightness when just swatched like this. But I mean, even here, look, in the camera, you can't even really see the difference between these two, you know? But they are just that like sparkly little situation. And then there is the gold one as well. And the gold one, I mean, it's a gold color instead of one of these like iridescent colors. So it does have a little bit more of a show up on my hand. But those are not my favorite kind of formula. I do think this is an outstanding, beautiful, ridiculous eyeshadow. So I am happy. But I wish they were like the moisturized, the juicy one. Okay, I wanted to talk about the Artistry Wand a little bit and kind of compare it to other things. Like, maybe you looked at this palette and those aren't your colors, you're not really interested in it. Maybe you got Divine Rose 1 and that one does everything you need it to. That is a much more everyday kind of thing, especially if you're into those like mauve and mauve tones. But maybe you were eyeing this and you were like, is that worth my money? Is that so different from anything else that will make shadows I already own more special? I'm gonna take a second and I'm gonna do the swatches and then I will show you. Hold on. All right, I have some quite interesting findings actually. The NYX one looks the best. I'm not gonna lie. Well, also it depends on what you are looking for. The NYX one makes it look more like what I like. A combined, moisturized, juicy, metallic color. It gives it the most opacity. The next one that like really builds it up the best is the setting spray. And for the setting spray one, I actually sprayed my finger, did a swipe, and then I went into it. So almost as if you were to sweat your eyelid and then put it on kind of thing, because I didn't want to get my shadow wet. And then third would be the Pat McGrath one, and finally would be the mixing medium. The mixing medium, I feel like it actually like spread apart the color, you know what I mean? Like it didn't help combine it. It was too loose of a formula, if that makes sense. Is this really cool? Yes. Is the component a plus? Yes. Does it do what it is intended to do? Yes. But could you save your money and just get the NYX glitter glue and this too will probably last your entire life? Yeah, I do think so. I think you would be, if you're already using this and you already love this, I don't think you're going to get any more out of your shadows by picking this up. So I think it's really good and it does what it says that it's doing, but I don't think it is better than something you could get at the drugstore. So there's my 2 cents on that, okay? Or maybe it was like $1.85 actually. It was not 2 cents, Amy. That was a little bit more. So I've got the palette we've talked about and used today, and then I've pulled out everything else I own eyeshadow-wise from Pat McGrath. So first of all, the box that the Huetopian Dream came in is stunning. It's so beautiful. It has a little UFO. Ugh, love you. She's so good. Her packaging, so good. Let me just go through the ones that I don't think there's going to be any kind of dupe related to it. So firstly, I've got this one. These colors just really are not these colors. They just really aren't. Nope, this one is way more punchy. This one is very, very cool toned and muted. I love this one for like every day. So I'm gonna put this one away. I would say like some people might think that the shade I have on my lid is kind of similar to this one or this one from the first Mothership. I'm sorry, I'm not Kinky Sweat. I do not know the names of these. So let me show you in the pan. So these ones in the pan, right? Okay, let me show you the reflection. Maybe that'll help. Hold on. those two at the top are these. So they are the same, that astral formula. They are not the same color. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell. But this one is like a brown, blue, and this one is like it's just periwinkle. Like, it doesn't have a flip in my eyes. It looks white in the pan, but it just has like a periwinkle glitter situation. So these two are Mothership 1, and this one is Mothership 9. So I feel like if any, maybe the reflect is the same kind of blue, but the base to this one is so much of like a plummy, reddy purple that it doesn't give you the same situation at the end. So I think there's not actually any dupe in the Mothership 1. Mothership 2, oof. Same. Let's see, there's maybe this gold, one of these golds. These two are from Mothership 2, and this one is Mothership 9. I would say these two are the closest, but this one has a little bit more of like contrast. Do you see how it's like a deep color and then a bright gold, whereas this one is just a gold? I don't know if you can pick that up on the screen, but I will. These two are pretty similar. In person, they are different, but they are the most similar so far. But I highly doubt you were going to get this palette for the gold. Let's go ahead and look at the Rose Decadence. Peach Dusk shade with the coral shade. The one in the new palette is a lot more corally orangey, whereas the Peach Dusk shade is a lot more like neutral pink. So those aren't exactly dupers. Now, I think that's probably the only thing that would maybe make you, but I feel like this one, the one in the new palette, is a lot more bright. Let's look at the Divine Rose 1. I would say one in pictures that you might think looks similar is like the mauve tones, but this is the Divine Rose 1, and this is the Huetopian Dream. You can see the Divine Rose 1 is a lot more purpley gray, and this one is a lot more of a pink tone to it. I think you can see that difference. It's a pretty big difference in my opinion. Okay, so this is the Divine Rose 1. This one's like a puppy dog deep brown, chocolate brown, and this one is a lot more of a plummy brown. You can see the difference there. When you're blending it on the eye, maybe you would get a similar effect. We can consider those dupes, but not a perfect dupe. But you aren't going to buy this for the dark brown, were you? Didn't think so. Mothership 8, Mothership 9, okay? So, I don't think they look alike. I think the placement of the colors is kind of similar, and that's what is triggering people to think that they are dupes. But the brown here, can you see the brown from Divine Rose 2 and the brown from Huetopian Dream? The Divine Rose 2, it is a purple color. It's like a rich wine burgundy kind of color. So I don't think that it's similar at all. Like the fact that they put the coral shade in the same place that they put that hot pink, I think is giving people that idea. But that hot pink is, first of all, a metallic and it's pink. And this one's a matte and it's coral. So those are not alike at all. Like, yes, they are both punchy. They're different formulas, different colors. I don't think they look alike at all. The gold in the Divine Rose 2 is my kind of gold. It is a metallic. You see how it looks wet? Whereas the one in the Huetopian Dream is a flaky boy. Okay, you see this smooth molten and this flaky chunky? Okay, different colors, different tones also. Different textures, different tones. Okay? Okay? Are you with me? The yellow gold is obviously way too yellow. The triochrome color, this like chameleon, this extraterrestrial, is this bright purple, deep green moment. The one in the Huetopian Dream, do you see this one's red? This one's pink. Do you see that difference? They are a similar formula. Come on, focus. But they are not similar in color. So, I know I'm not letting you have the flip. It's not doing it. And even the green flip, because they both flip to like a green moment. The Divine Rose 2, that one turns out to be like a forest Kelly green. It's like deep and bright at the same time. The one in the Huetopian Dream is like a lighter limey kind of green. Maybe you thought the coral was like the peachy matte. Let me go ahead and just swatch the peachy matte. The peachy matte is much more neutral and pink. I think they both have the same amount of variety, the same amount of juxtaposition. I'm going to give you a cool matte. I'm going to give you a warm matte. I'm going to give you a bronzy metallic, and I'm going to give you a mauvey metallic. But I don't think the colors are at all similar when you're looking at them next to each other. Let's go to FLEUR Fantasia. Now, these would be excellent sister palettes for sure. You've got that whole vibe going on at the top. But let's talk about these colors just for a moment. This gold is way softer. This is like the Skin Show shade. Yeah, all the way right there. And the one in this one is way more of a pale color. This one's way more peachy. This color is not similar to anything in here, matte-wise. And I would say the texture of this one is similar to some of what's in here, but the color is not. It's like this purple orange shift moment. And then obviously the color that is the most similar, it's just a whole different formula, and it actually is a more blue. Okay, the shade all the way by my wrist is the one from FLEUR Fantasia. It's a more smooth metallic, and it is much more heavy on the blue tone. So I don't think there's like a dupe. I think it goes with it. It's a nice combination, but I don't think that there's a dupe in there. Let's look at these little guys right here. Go into the like red shade that's in this one. Look at that. The terrestrial shade. I don't know what she calls it. Her triochrome versus the like, oh my gosh, it just literally looks like molten lava. Once I swatch these, you might be able to tell why I thought they might be similar. These two are very similar tone. The more orange one, it has this like rusty purple. I feel like it's a very similar flip. It is just a different texture. I'll consider that a color dupe because I do think people might just want the color, and this is way more affordable if she's still selling that. If you can find these anywhere, buy them. These are amazing. Let's talk about the Mega. I know the Mega is no longer for sale, but I know a lot of people got it, so I want to talk about it because I do feel like there are some shades in here that would be in here. Okay, let's do the mattes. So we've got the matte brown from the Mega palette and the matte brown from Huetopian Dream. Again, the Huetopian Dream is just a little bit more neutral. This one's a lot more burgundy. Yeah, I'd say those are the closest two browns. Right here. The Mega one is more purple, Then there's another orange in here that gives me a very similar flip. You see that? Very, very similar. Okay. The texture again is different in the trio chrome. There's that one. I think that's easy dupe. Maybe this shade, similar to this one. Okay, hold on. Oh God. This little section right here is all the ones from the Mega palette that I think are similar. If you were buying it just for the brown and this mauve, and what else did I say were similar? And this color and this color, but you have the Mega palette, you have those colors. Okay? But most people, I believe, are purchasing it for these two colors. Do I think it's beautiful? Yes. Should I have picked this up? Maybe not. Let's, for a moment, talk about why I picked it up. 1, I have a shopping problem. 2, I couldn't help myself. 3, I love Pat McGrath. And I knew that I would end up buying it anyway, probably. I want to collect them. That's how much I love Pat McGrath. So I knew I was going to get it anyway, so I was like, let's just go ahead and get it now. That way I can do a very thorough video like this and get it out there for the people of the world that would like some swatch comparisons and someone to talk about it. And yes, I love Pat McGrath. I personally do believe in her formula, and I do believe that it is worth the money. But I completely understand not wanting to get a palette like this with all of these insane, bright, colorful colors if you are an everyday makeup wearer. If you just wear taupes, mauves, browns, sometimes a little gold, sometimes a little champagne, this might be too much for you. I completely get it. But if you are a colorful fan, if you are an eyeshadow fanatic, if you love Pat McGrath and you've been dying to try some of her stuff, I would say if these are your tones and you are a more everyday person, I do think this is a much better everyday palette. This is the Divine Rose 1. This one is a lot more wearable, a lot more neutral, with still a little bit of fun here. Like you've got this gold shift pink, you've got this iridescent white that kind of shifts pink. I don't know if you can pick that up, but I do think this one is everyday appropriate as well as a little bit of fun. Okay, that's why this was the first one I picked up, because I was like, I will wear those colors. I do wear those colors. I love those colors. If you wanted a little bit more richness, a little bit more color, so when you saw the Divine Rose 2, you were like, ooh, almost. You were almost there, but you didn't want a hot pink or a yellow gold. You know, you wanted something a little bit in between the two. I kind of feel like this one is in between the two. I don't think this one is the third most colorful. Yes, maybe because we've added in these colors here, it makes it more. But if you just look at these, this one to me feels like an in-between Divine Rose 1 and Divine Rose 2 with these 2 extra fun pops, you know? I don't know. Here's the thing. All I can do is give you the information and what it looks like to me in person and my thoughts and feelings. I can't tell you what to do with your money. I don't want to tell you what to do with your money, okay? I just hope that my information and my extensive swatching and describing of textures and such has helped you to make a decision, or maybe you just love makeup and this was really fun to watch and you love seeing people swatch all these really fun colors and kind of talk about makeup because it's fun, okay? Either way, I hope you enjoyed this. I am not going to do a really long outro here. I've already blabbed enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below, did you get this palette? Are you thinking about getting this palette? Did this palette launch make you want to get another Pat McGrath palette? Tell me all the details below. If you want to talk about Pat, let's go. Let's talk about Pat. I love her. Let's do it. Okay? That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out so much. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!